Escape from the end of the World+Cute Baby+Female lead, Unholy Mother plus 1v1 double Cleanliness. Lin Xiajin slept in the girls' dormitory and found that it was still dark and her phone had no signal. The once bustling university campus has turned into a playground for zombies, occasionally accompanied by eerie roars and screams. Lin Xiajin, who couldn't even escape in time, found herself pregnant. Watching my growing belly, prenatal education, nutrition, and toys are indispensable. Others kill zombies to grab food, while Lin Xiajin kills zombies to stock up on toys and diapers. Stock up on baby supplies. But suddenly a man appeared who wanted to be with her. I thought I was going to grab supplies from her. The goods suddenly told her that they were prepared for their son. Lin Xiajin looked at this serious and handsome face. I treated you like a teammate, but you took my wife. Keywords of the novel. Pregnant mother space hoarding and raising cubs without pop-ups. Pregnant mother space hoarding and raising cubs TXT complete collection download. Pregnant mother space hoarding and raising cubs latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Lin Xiajin, the food is hard to come by. If you don't want to eat it, don't eat it. What does it mean to spit it out after eating it? Wang Ping glared angrily. What else does vomiting mean? Of course, I can't get used to this expired bread anymore. Don't forget, she's a school flower, and the stars are all over her. Another woman walked over, her hands clasped around her chest, looking at Lin Xiajin with a sarcastic expression. What time is it now? You really treat yourself like a school flower, you're just a useless person. Wang Ping sneered. Lin Xiajin is feeling uncomfortable all over now. It's not that she doesn't eat, but that she vomits after eating, and there is always a feeling of nausea in her stomach. She felt dizzy and didn't want to argue with them. The key was that she didn't go out to search for food with them these past few days. The incident still occurred half a month ago on April 4, 2062, when the entire sun was covered at noon, resulting in a rare solar eclipse. Generally, a solar eclipse would only pass in a few minutes, but now it has been over an hour. Most of the students in the dormitory have gone out to watch the lunar eclipse. At that time, Lin Xiajin didn't go, but felt uncomfortable all over, especially with a headache that was about to crack. She just felt like she was standing in front of a square in front of her, all gray and unable to get out. Intuitively, Lin Xiajin was covered in a cold sweat, and only then did she realize that the people in the dormitory had not yet returned. So he took out his phone and looked at it, only to find that there was no signal. Unexpectedly, it was already over 3 a.m., and they probably drank all night. Lin Xiajin doesn't have the habit of drinking all night. That night, her roommate had to drag her to her birthday, but that night, she is fragmented. Thinking of this, Lin Xiajin felt a headache. Her relatives hadn't come for several days and she was planning to buy a pregnancy test today. Thinking that the gray and square area in her mind had reappeared, Lin Xiajin thought she had a hallucination and quickly shook her head. The phone she had just been holding disappeared out of nowhere, appearing in the square area in her mind. Lin Xiajin's heart was pounding with excitement, and with a thought, it actually reached her hand again, suppressing her very excited heart. Is this space? After sleeping for a while, did she have space? Although this space is not very large, it is only about 20 square meters. Next, Lin Xiajin gave it a try and found that he really had spatial abilities. Something even more terrifying happened next. After the entire solar eclipse, toxins drifted down from the sky, and those outside turned into terrifying zombies. They ate raw meat, and if bitten, they would still be infected. Lin Xiajin followed several senior students with supernatural abilities in the dormitory and hid on the rooftop, occasionally hearing the roar of zombies. Lin Xiajin has a special ability, spatial ability, but she chose to hide it without saying it. Nowadays, among these 10 students on the rooftop, they have all stimulated their abilities one after another in the past half month, but it seems that there is no space. Lin Xiajin has always been a cautious person, so she has hidden her abilities. Among these people, only Lin Xiajin and Wang Tao have not been able to stimulate their abilities, because most boys take good care of her, so most girls will actually target her. Don't talk about Xiajin, Yang Xuechang will be back soon. Wang Tao said maliciously. Before the end of the world, Yang Zi had been secretly in love with Lin Xiajin and never dared to confess. Now, Yang Zi is the first among them to inspire supernatural abilities. It is still a powerful fire-type ability with strong attack power, so naturally now it has become the leader of these students. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Yang Zi was also very protective of Lin Xiajin, and the girls were even more unhappy when they heard Wang Tao say so. The mockery on the faces of several girls was even stronger. Hu Meizi, now you can only rely on men, but Wang Tao, Lin Xiajin is more beautiful than you. You are also a waste, but no one can rely on you. Yi Yu pulled Wang Ping away. Wang Tao watched them leave before squatting down and looking at Lin Xiajin with a caring expression, saying, Xiajin, are you okay? Why have you been vomiting so much lately? Lin Xiajin said lightly, it's nothing, I just have a bad stomach and can't eat expired food. Upon hearing these words, Wang Tao's face flashed with disdain and quickly disappeared. Hey, now we're the only ones with no special abilities left. You're okay, and Yang is protecting you. Although Yang looks average, he's already in the apocalypse and doesn't care about these anymore. However, Xiajin, did you sleep with brother Yang? Lin Xiajin's face turned cold and she said, Wang Tao, don't talk nonsense about something. After Lin Xiajin finished speaking, she stood up and left, pretending to go to the balcony for a ventilation. Lin Xiajin was mentally clear, and Wang Tao probably suspected that she was pregnant. In this situation, if everyone knew she was pregnant, she would definitely be the first to be abandoned. Although Yang Zi has not done anything excessive to her now, it is precisely because of Yang Zi that Lin Xiajin is able to remain calm and not seek food. If Yang Zi knew she was pregnant, Wang Tao would hold her thighs tightly. In fact, Lin Xiajin didn't want to rely on Yang Zi. It would definitely not be possible to continue like this. Listening to the occasional roar of zombies outside, Lin Xiajin clenched her fist tightly and couldn't stay here anymore. Even when feeling uncomfortable, she decided to follow Yang Zi and the others to the supermarket tomorrow to search for supplies. She touched her stomach to see if she could take the opportunity to secretly store the supplies in the space for emergencies. Now, she was almost 100% certain that she was pregnant. What kind of divine luck is this when you hit me for the first time? The key is that man. She drank too much, probably due to being calculated by her roommate. She didn't remember anything, just had a vague impression, but that person had a faint mint fragrance that left a deep impression. Even if she wants to have a miscarriage now, there is no place for surgery, and medication can be taken within 3 months, right? Now she can't drag on anymore. There are zombies outside, and her life is not guaranteed. How can she give birth to a child alone? Born irresponsible to him. Damn it, today I went to the supermarket in the north cafeteria and found that they were forcibly occupied. Yang Zi kicked the door in anger and said angrily. The main reason is that the person across from us is from the sports department, with over 20 people, which is too many for us. There's no food today, so we'll have to go hungry for now. Tomorrow, we'll have to detour to the supermarket to the west. Yang, let's all go tomorrow, and we'll also occupy that supermarket to save time running back and forth, said Li Quan. The supermarket to the west is far away, and there is also a playground around. There are quite a few zombies on the playground, said another girl with a frown. We have more than 10 superpowers, but we can't deal with dozens of zombies. They are all cowards. Yang Zi said. Not bad, although many people have activated their abilities. When faced with disgusting and terrifying zombies for the first time, most of them turn pale and scream in fear. Will they still use their abilities? Moreover, water and wood-based abilities have almost no effect, and placing such a small amount of water balls is like taking a bath for zombies. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The ones that can effectively deal with zombies now are fire, thunder, and strength. Tomorrow everyone will go. Whoever doesn't go will starve to death. Yang Zi said sternly after speaking. Everyone else in the classroom fell silent, but knew that if they didn't go, they might really be left here tomorrow. It's best for everyone to find a handy weapon. What can be in the classroom? It's just a table and chairs. Yang Zi circled around but didn't see Lin Xiajin. He frowned and said, "Where is Xiajin?" Lin Xiajin said her stomach was uncomfortable, so she went up to the rooftop to breathe. Wang Tao quickly stood up and said. After looking at Wang Taoran a few more times, Yang Zi went up to the rooftop, and everyone else's expressions were somewhat meaningful. Just now, Wang Ping, who was still arrogant, suddenly wilted. Her ability is water system, so she can put a palm-sized water ball, which really has no killing power. Li Gu, can I follow you tomorrow? Wang Ping pulled up her clothes and said, "Little bird, please." Li Quan is a power-type superpower, although not as strong as Yang Zi, he has also killed many zombies. Li Quan looked at Wang Ping's charming demeanor and couldn't help but pinch her waist from behind. He leaned in front of Wang Ping's ear and said, "Tonight, go to bed later." The beard was tickling Wang Ping, but she still suppressed a smile and said, "Okay." Wang Tao looked at the men and women in the classroom, as if they were all matched. At that moment, a chubby man walked over and said, "Peach, don't be afraid. Tomorrow, brother will protect you." Wang Tao looks at this greasy thing. She's already bald before the age of 20, and still wants to sleep with her. However, this chubby person is also a power-type superpower, and she dare not say anything now. "Thank you, Brother Yao." The fat man heard Wang Tao's voice and his whole body drifted. If it were before the end of the world, who would these women pay attention to him? They all despise him. But now there's a huge difference. "Pang Gu, did you promise to protect me tomorrow?" Lin walked over and stopped Pang Ji's arm, saying. "I protect them all, protect them all. Pang Gu, I have a lot of strength. With just one punch, the zombie's head will explode. Pang Gu is amazing." Lin followed suit and flattered Pang Gu, coaxing him to be ecstatic. Pang Gu is feeling proud in his heart. He used to treat him like a fart, but now he really wants to be by his side. Although Wang Tao also greeted with a smile, what she really wanted was Yang Zi. On the balcony, Lin Xiajin's stomach was now more comfortable. At this moment, Yang Zi came up and Lin Xiajin looked at the man in front of her, who was less than 170, black and thin, and even had acne on her left face. She frowned psychologically. Watching Yang Zi look at her possessive and greedy face, she feels uncomfortable and only feels nauseous psychologically. "Xiajin, tomorrow we will all be transferred to the supermarket in the West Cafeteria. Tomorrow, you must follow me closely. If you get bitten by a zombie, you will mutate." Yang Zi said with a hint of intimidation. "No need." Lin Xiajin's expression was cold and she refused directly. Seeing Lin Xiajin still holding on to this towering Yangtze, Yang Zi felt suffocated. Yang Zi stepped forward and grabbed Lin Xiajin's arm, wanting to kiss her forcefully, but was directly slapped by Lin Xiajin. Thinking of touching a nose of dust today, his face finally couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Thinking of the past half-month, he has been offering various sacrifices to Lin Xiajin, and he said. "Lin Xiajin, who should I show you with your towering appearance? Who do you think you are? How dare you hit me?" At the beginning of the apocalypse, everyone could still maintain surface harmony, but with more and more zombies, there was no rescue, no food. Everything is heading towards deterioration, and human evil will erupt. After Yang Zi finished speaking, he wanted to strengthen Lin Xiajin, but Lin Xiajin is not a vegetarian either. Although she does not have any attack-type abilities. Because her brother is the world champion of Taekwondo, she has been learning Taekwondo from him for a long time and even achieved a black belt rank. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4. Lin Xiajin turned around and restrained Yang Zi, kicking him directly at the root of his life. Listening to Yang Zi's painful cries, Lin Xiajin ran without looking back. I ran into Wang Tao, who was about to come down. Lin Xiajin, are you pregnant? I've been observing you these days. I'm a nursing professional, Wang Tao snorted coldly at this moment. Lin Xiajin also wants to stay here, otherwise Yang Zi wouldn't give up without her. Lin Xiajin didn't want to entangle and just wanted to leave quickly, but Wang Tao stopped her. Yang Zi caught up with Wang Tao in the neutral gear, and his face darkened and twisted abnormally upon hearing her words. Wang Tao felt a little scared when she saw Yang Zi like this. She had also seen Yang Zi before, a hard-working, thrifty, and honest person who had passed the college entrance examination step by step from the countryside. The more honest a person looks, the more terrifying the evil that erupts. Lin Xiajin, are you a lowly woman, and why are you pretending to be aloof to me? Yang Zi directly burst into a loud scolding. Lin Xiajin looked straight at Wang Tao and sneered, isn't this the effect you want? One pretends to be a white lotus, and the other pretends to be an honest person. You two are a perfect match. Lin Xiajin, you are the white lotus, pretending to be noble. Wang Tao said. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xiajin with a twisted face, never realizing that the person he worshipped as a goddess had already been asleep. He didn't even get it. He didn't even get it. Who is it? That man. I've been treating you well all along, but I didn't expect you to be a fickle woman. You always pretend so well. Yang Zi looked at Lin Xiajin viciously, his face ugly, and he casually said malicious words. At this moment, the goddess was no longer as innocent as he had imagined, and he wished he could just sleep with Lin Xiajin here. Lin Xiajin thought of her inexplicable experience of losing her body, and she felt very uncomfortable. However, she calmly said, I explicitly refused from the beginning. I didn't have a clear purpose in protecting you these days. Every time she thinks of Yang Zi's increasingly greedy gaze, she feels nauseous. Ha ha ha, Yang Zi said and laughed nauseating. Lin Xiajin, didn't I bring the food and drink you've been eating and drinking for the past half-month? Lin Xiajin didn't want to distinguish, let alone expose her space. Speaking of what she had eaten and drunk for the past half-month, it was really not what Yang Zi had brought back. The food he had given her before was taken away by those women. She is probably experiencing pregnancy sickness recently, eating and drinking less. It was all from the beginning of the apocalypse when she was in the dormitory refrigerator. Fortunately, at that time, she tried to put all the food in the refrigerator into the space. However, after half a month of consumption, there is already very little left in the refrigerator, which is why Lin Xiajin is preparing to go with them to search for supplies. However, she couldn't articulate these explanations, so she decided not to. Anyway, for unimportant people, she has always been too lazy to explain. The noise in the hallway caught the attention of others. What kind of aloofness does Lin Xiajin pretend to be? She always looks high and mighty, Wang Ping said, holding on to Li Quan's arm as she walked over. Yang Gu, Lin Xiajin looks like a bitch. What's there to like? It's not as good as Wang Tao, Wang Ping said, deliberately looking at Wang Tao. Wang Tao looked timidly and said, I'm sorry, Xiajin. I shouldn't have told you about your pregnancy. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. No wonder there has been a lot of food waste these past few days. Those foods were all taken back by Yang and his team at all costs, and they were actually pregnant. I don't know if they belong to that wealthy second generation. Wang Ping sarcastically said. Lin Xiajin is good looking, has a good temperament, and comes from a good family background, so there are always suitors. Those who dare to pursue are the wealthy second generation with good family background. Those ordinary-looking people dare not even say a word to Lin Xiajin, such as Yang Zi. Upon hearing these words, Yang Zi's face turned even worse and he wanted to go up and catch Lin Xiajin. Lin Xiajin was not hiding either. He grabbed Yang Zi's arm and turned around to press him down to the ground, sitting on his back. Since the end of the world, Yang Zi has suffered such humiliation and can't even beat a woman. What are you still doing? Get Lin Xiajin for me. Yang Zi's face pressed against the ground, his face turning red and roaring. Li Quan shuddered for a moment. Just now, Lin Xiajin's reaction speed was too fast, and he directly knocked down the talented Yang Zigan. Li Quan has no reaction time. Lin Xiajin, she has studied Taekwondo, and her brother Lin Xiajin is an Olympic champion. Roar. It's not good, the zombie broke through the door. I don't know who shouted, but the roar of the zombies came out, and the emergency lights in the hallway flickered on and off. Run quickly. Lin Xiajin immediately released Yang Zi and started running upstairs, squeezing together. The sudden attack of the zombies seemed to pause the farce just now. After all, being bitten by zombies is more deadly than fighting. If you are chased by zombies, you will die directly. You will be eaten alive by zombies. Everyone hurriedly ran upstairs. Someone heard the commotion, and as soon as a few people left the classroom, they saw zombies biting and rushing in. Ah! With a scream, he didn't even remember to condense the water ball and was directly devoured by the zombies rushing in. Even if a water ball condenses, it doesn't have much killing power. Those who didn't have time to run started fighting with zombies, the sound of clashing fights. Ah! Help! Wang Tao ran too quickly and directly stumbled with her left foot. Yang, help me! Yang Zi frowned, and after setting off 7 or 8 fireballs, the entire corridor began to catch fire. At this moment, a series of fireballs were released, and his face turned pale. His abilities were consumed too quickly. The zombies rushed in without fear of flames, and there were countless zombies rushing in outside. Yang Zi ran away without looking back, and Wang Tao cried even more despair. At this moment, she quickly got up and rushed up when she saw Lin Xiajin. Lin Xiajin, let's die together. Wang Tao said in despair. Wang Tao looked at the flames around her and the zombies behind her. She didn't want to die alone. A dagger appeared out of thin air in Lin Xiajin's hand, directly cutting through her hand, and then ran away without looking back. Fortunately, there is a knife in the refrigerator that I bought before, used to cut watermelons. Ah! Wang Tao exclaimed in pain. Wang Tao watched as Lin Xiajin's back disappeared and there was a wound on her hand. She looked unwilling to be swallowed by zombies, her flesh and blood blurred. Perhaps I didn't even understand why Lin Xiajin suddenly had a dagger in his hand out of thin air until I died. She died without closing her eyes. Until her body was completely devoured by zombies. Lin Xiajin climbed up the rooftop with a dagger in his hand, but the door was already locked. Lin Xiajin kicked the door a few times but it still didn't open, but Wang Ping's voice came from inside. Lin Xiajin, we won't open the door. Just wait for the zombies outside to bite you clean. After Wang Ping finished speaking, she found no trace of knocking on the door. She thought Lin Xiajin couldn't cry and begged her. At this moment, Yang Zi opened Wang Ping's door and shouted. Lin Xiajin, if you beg me, I'll let you in. What cannot be obtained is always stirring up. Yang Zi's psychology has become even more distorted. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Roar. But there was no response from Lin Xiajin, but rather the roaring of zombies. This startled Yang Zi and the others, and now only Yang Zi, Wang Ping, and Li Quan are on the rooftop. At this moment, Lin Xiajin had already climbed out of the window and stood on the air conditioning unit on the outer wall. From time to time, the roar of zombies could be heard in the hallway. In this way, Lin Xiajin sat on the air conditioner for a whole 5 hours, even leaning against the wall and falling asleep in a daze. Fortunately, the current weather keeps Lin Xiajin from catching a cold while sleeping at night, otherwise her physical condition may not be able to withstand it. The morning sun shone uniformly on Lin Xiajin's eyes, and finally she opened them in a daze, looking at herself on the 3-story air conditioning unit. The roar of the zombies completely awakened Lin Xiajin, who carefully poked into the window. In the passage, there were still many zombies wandering aimlessly. Zombies move slowly during the day, but at night they act like they have been injected with hormones, and their speed is twice as fast as during the day. Lin Xiajin slowly returned to the empty plane, afraid to make too much noise, and looked down. There were no zombies below, probably rushing into the teaching building last night. Looking into the distance, there were a few scattered zombies around the corner not far away. Thinking of the physical labor for a while, Lin Xiajin took out half of the chocolate she had saved from the space refrigerator. Now, in addition to half of the chocolate, there is also a bottle of water and a bottle of milk in her space. He put all the remaining half of the chocolate in his mouth with great determination, took a few more sips of water, and finally felt that he had regained some strength. Lin Xiajin touched her stomach and thought to herself psychologically, "Baby, if you want to survive, you need to cheer with your mother." Perhaps with this statement, the feeling of nausea and vomiting gradually disappears. Lin Xiajin slowly slid down the outside unit of the air conditioner, with gentle movements that dared not make too much noise, leading the zombie out. Fortunately, she often went rock climbing with her brother before and had good physical strength. She jumped from the last air conditioner to the water pipe, grabbed it with both hands and feet, and slowly slid down. During this period, Lin Xiajin was always holding his heart up. Fortunately, there was no movement, but his hands were a bit sore from being touched. But at this moment, how could he care about these things? Lin Xiajin walked slowly, wanting to go to the medical office. She was pregnant now, and if she didn't want to have a child, abortion was the best option. Passing by the corner, she saw 2 zombies wandering around. To enter the medical office, there is only one door, or you can climb in through the window. Lin Xiajin looked at 2 wandering zombies, one of whom seemed to have an unknown arm hanging from the corner of his mouth. Lin Xiajin couldn't help but feel nauseous, quickly turned her head and slowly walked around from behind. The windows on the 1st and 2nd floors were all iron railings, and Lin Xiajin had to climb the wall to the 3rd floor. There was a window on the 3rd floor that happened to be open. Lin Xiajin slowly climbed up the water pipe again. When she reached the 2nd floor, she saw the shadow of zombies reflected in the window. She couldn't help but be startled and almost slipped down. Fortunately, Lin Xiajin didn't scream. Continuing to climb up, I finally climbed in. When I climbed into the window, I even scratched Lin Xiajin's clothes. Fortunately, I wasn't injured, otherwise the bloody smell would attract zombies again. However, this was quite tiring for Lin Xiajin, and it took her a long time to recover. The consultation room she crawled into was completely empty, indicating that no one was here when the mutation occurred. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Lin Xiajin has been here once, so she still knows the way. Looking at the small dagger in her hand, she doesn't feel any sense of security, so she looks around but doesn't see any handy weapons. Lin Xiajin had no choice but to accept his fate and hold the dagger. After all, it was the only weapon now. He opened the door lightly and the corridor outside was clean, and his walking voice was amplified. Lin Xiajin was holding a small dagger in her hand, looking at the words on the doorplate and searching one by one. The medication room was relieved to see the name Lin Xiajin, and then went over to open the door, only to find that it was actually locked. When there is no one in the medication room, the door is usually locked. Lin Xiajin twisted the door for a long time but couldn't break it. She wanted to break it open again, but was afraid that the sound would attract zombies. Lin Xiajin had no choice but to find the key, which was usually in the hands of the on-duty doctor. Fortunately, it was on duty next to him. Lin Xiajin slowly opened the door and touched the white coat hanging on the wall, which indeed had a string of keys. There are also 2 self-heating hotpots and 2 bottles of cola on the table, probably left by the school doctor. These have all been placed in the space refrigerator by Lin Xiajin. After trying one by one, Lin Xiajin opened the door to the medication room, and in just half a month, there was already a layer of fine dust. Lin Xiajin searched for a long time, but couldn't find the medicine she wanted to have an abortion. Instead, she searched for many vitamins. Since she didn't have them, she should supplement them. Lin Xiajin collected alcohol, iodine, some topical medications, and various vitamins. After finishing these, Lin Xiajin locked the door and had been busy all morning. She had already started to get hungry. Find the self-heating hot pot and eat it first, with a hot and spicy taste. Lin Xiajin really enjoyed eating and didn't feel nauseous anymore. Eat and drink enough, think about the next life. Your phone still has no signal, and I don't know how my brother is doing. Lin Xiajin's brother should also be in this city. She believes that if his brother is okay, he will definitely come to the school to find her, so she will temporarily wait at the school for now. If she leaves school, she won't be able to find her brother even more. There are only so many school supplies in total, and it is very unrealistic to keep waiting at school. You must find a safe place before you give birth if you are still pregnant. Thinking of these, Lin Xiajin seized the opportunity to search for useful supplies, toilet paper, and so on in this floor. But now she only found some small snacks from 2 offices, and the rest is gone. It seems that if you want to find food, you can only go to the school's supermarket. There are 2 large canteens in the school, and there are 2 large supermarkets in the east and west canteens. That day, I heard Yang Zi say that the supermarket in the east cafeteria has been occupied by people, and they can only go to the supermarket in the west cafeteria. I don't know if they are leaving now. After all, a zombie just rushed into the teaching building where they are hiding yesterday, and now we can only rush ahead of them to the supermarket in the west cafeteria. With this in mind, Lin Xiajin was about to set off immediately for the western cafeteria. When passing by the second-floor simple operating room, Lin Xiajin really saw a suitable weapon. The long sword was as long as an adult's arm, but only as narrow as 2 fingers, which excited Lin Xiajin. Compared to the small dagger in her hand, it was much better. However, Lin Xiajin did not abandon the small dagger, but instead placed it in the space. Holding a long knife, Lin Xiajin suddenly felt a sense of security and didn't panic with the knife in her hand. Lin Xiajin had just come down from the second floor and collided head-on with a zombie. After all, Lin Xiajin had learned Taekwondo, and instinctively, her body reaction speed knife had already swung out, chopping the zombie's head in half. Blood splattered everywhere, a few drops splattered onto Lin Xiajin's face, making her nauseous. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. A feeling of nausea spread across the surface, and Lin Xiajin leaned against the wall and began to vomit. Lin Xiajin felt nauseous under pressure. Now is not the time to vomit, staying for an extra second will increase the danger. Fortunately, there was only one lonely zombie, otherwise just when Lin Xiajin couldn't help but vomit, the other zombies would have eaten her. Lin Xiajin took a breath and glanced at the zombie body a few more times. After all, the next step was to chop down the zombies. Taking advantage of being a lonely zombie, I quickly got used to it and stared at the zombie with blood dripping down my face. Although I was still feeling nauseous, my protruding eyes and the bits of flesh at the corners of my mouth. Lin Xiajin watched carefully and forced herself to adapt quickly. To be honest, this was much better than the terrifying scenes in the movie. However, this strong and intuitive blood smell is rarely seen in such a safe country as China. At first glance, there was something shiny yellow inside half of the zombie's head. Lin Xiajin frowned and asked, "What is this?" Lin Xiajin used a knife to peel off the earthy yellow shiny crystal, which was a diamond-shaped yellow crystal. Only the size of a little thumb. Lin Xiajin's intuition was not that simple, so she took out water from the space and first flushed it. Then, she picked it up with a tissue and put it in her hand. There was no feeling, but she didn't want to lose it, so she threw it into a corner of the space. It doesn't matter if you throw it away like this, the yellow crystal melts directly into the corner of the space, becoming only about 5 centimeters of land. This makes Lin Xiajin look silly. Her space has always been gray, just a refrigerator. Now, a pile of dirt has appeared in one corner, although only the size of a palm, it is also very magical. Is this zombie brain thing a good thing? Yellow, placed in her space can generate soil. The roar of zombies came from outside, and Lin Xiajin didn't hesitate to think too much. As she walked, she kept her ideals in mind. If she encountered a lonely zombie next time, she would dig out her head and take a look. Lin Xiajin didn't feel the disgust of looking at the zombie's head, but instead had a feeling of eager to try. Maybe she could get some yellow crystal that could turn her space into land. Lin Xiajin encountered 2 zombies again, both of whom had their heads chopped off by Lin Xiajin. Lin Xiajin wanted to dig open and see if there were any crystals, but the roar of the zombies from behind grew closer and closer. Helpless, Lin Xiajin had no choice but to run to the classroom. She wanted to hide, but someone grabbed her and covered her mouth. After seeing who it was, Lin Xiajin's hand that wanted to resist stopped, with a surprised expression on her face. It was her roommate, Xian Li. "Sue, come with me," said Xian Li as she pulled her up to a classroom on the 2nd floor, then watched Xian Li lock the classroom door and pull all the curtains. "Xian Li, you really scared me to death. Didn't you drink all night? How did you come back?" Lin Xiajin asked. On our way back to school from outside, the whole city suddenly underwent a mutation, and those people turned into cannibalistic monsters, Cute and Tingting. "They all died," said Xian Li with an abnormal expression on her face. "What? Tingting is dead?" Lin Xiajin's face turned pale, with an indescribable pain. Fong Tingting is her best roommate, and the 2 of them were also admitted to Tsinghua University together. Xian Li knows that Fong Tingting has a good relationship with Lin Xiajin. "Don't be sad, maybe we'll be with them that day," Xian Li sighed and said, "End of this chapter." Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. I've always wanted to tell you that I'm sorry for what happened that day. You drank too much and ended up leaving you alone at the hotel. Didn't anything happen to you that day, did you? Xian Li said with guilt. Lin Xiajin frowned. She didn't originally want to go for a drink that day, but when Xian Li said it was her birthday, she insisted on pulling Fong Tingting with her. If Fong Tingting couldn't bear it, she went. She was also worried and followed Fong Tingting. That day, while drinking, Xian Li found many of her male friends. She had some impression of what happened that day. Although she couldn't remember who the man sleeping with him was, she didn't remember the few men Xian Li had found. "No, I drank too much that day, so I looked at a room and slept on my own," Lin Xiajin said. Xian Li nodded and breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "I'm scared to death. I'm afraid you might drink too much. My brotherhood will make you stronger." Xian Li saw Lin Xiajin's face change greatly and quickly said, "The main thing is that those brothers all like you, afraid they won't be able to control you if they drink too much." Lin Xiajin clearly didn't want to talk about this matter, especially since she had always been wary of Xian Li. Xian Li had a deep mind and always used Fong Tingting intentionally or unintentionally. But unfortunately, Fong Tingting was not on guard, so she always guarded against Xian Li, and even on that night, she couldn't defend herself. Thinking about losing her virginity and still pregnant, Lin Xiajin felt a headache. She knew she couldn't hide her pregnancy, but now she can keep it a secret for as long as possible, so it's safe enough. Are you also going to the supermarket in the west? It has turned into a zombie den. I just escaped from there, and unexpectedly, you dealt with both zombies quickly. You truly deserve to be the black belt of Taekwondo. The sister of the Olympic champion, Xianli said excitedly, did you activate your abilities? Xianli asked, thinking of something. Lin Xiajin shook her head, and a hint of disappointment flashed in Xianli's eyes before disappearing immediately. She patted Lin Xiajin's shoulder and said, I've unleashed my abilities now. In the water system, I can only put 2 small water balls, but I've noticed that my strength has increased. I guess there may still be a power mutation. Lin Xiajin listened to Xianli's words and had no intention of telling him about the space. She decided to keep the matter of space a secret. In such a living environment, having a space where resources can be stored at any time is like a powerful golden finger, but at the same time, if someone knows about it, it may also become a source of jealousy. Now we happen to have a companion, Xianli said as she took out a phone from her backpack, which also had a power bank. Lin Xiajin's eyes lit up when she saw Xianli's power bank. Unfortunately, her phone was left in space and she didn't take it out. Otherwise, she could have charged it down, maybe there was a signal to contact her brother. Nowadays, there is occasional lack of mobile phone signal. At first, we even called for help, but now our phones are really useless. By the way, Xiajin, did your brother come to the school to find you? Your brother loves you so much, maybe he will come to the school to save you. Xianli asked. Lin Xiajin shook her head and said, no, I haven't been able to contact my brother yet. Try using my phone. My phone is Global Express, and my parents are overseas, so the phone I bought is Global Express. Maybe I can contact your brother. After Xianli finished speaking, she handed her phone to Lin Xiajin. Lin Xiajin frowned. She felt that Xianli had a purpose in exposing her phone so easily, but she hesitated when she saw a faint signal on Xianli's phone. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 10. She really wanted to contact her brother, so Lin Xiajin took the phone and still called him. Toot toot. The call was answered with less than one call. Xia, is that you? Immediately, a pleasant voice came out, although it was a man's anxious voice. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Lin Xiajin's eyes turned slightly red as she said, brother, it's me. I'm very safe now. Great, I knew you would find a way to contact me. Knowing your safety reassures me. I am currently in S City, and it will take a long time to go to B City. However, I am currently on my way. I called my friend Xiaoruo to pick you up at your school. If you meet him, just follow him, okay? Lin Xiajin replied. Lin Xiajin wanted to say a few more words when Xianli's phone automatically turned off when it ran out of battery. We're out of battery, and this power bank is also out of battery. We need to find a power bank and still be able to contact your brother, said Xianli. Lin Xiajin nodded, Xiaoruo. This name seems to have been mentioned by my brother, who has been attending university in B City. But now there are no communication devices, it's even more difficult to get in touch with others. On the other side, Lin Xiajin saw that there was suddenly no sound on her phone, probably because her sister's phone was out of battery. She silently saved the phone. Now that I have contacted my younger sister and found out that she is still in Tsinghua University, I wish she was safe and sound. Lin Xiajin dialed the phone number on the top, and inside the call came the sound of zombies roaring in their hands. I don't seem to have called at the right time, Lin Xiajin said, if you have something to say, speak quickly. The man's cold voice came from the phone, but when you listen carefully, you can still hear the man's panting. Lin Xiajin also knew that this was not the time to joke. If he were joking, he was afraid that the conversation would be immediately interrupted. Lin Xiajin immediately said seriously, I have contacted my sister, she is still in Tsinghua University. Could you please go and save her? Dude Lin Xiajin received a sentence, and the phone was hung up. He really wanted to ask clearly, does he still remember Lin Xiajin? Thinking of this, Lin Xiajin called again, and this time there was no longer the roar of zombies over there. Do you still remember my sister, with long hair and Lin Xiajin, who only has 2 dimples when she smiles? Before Lin Xiajin could finish speaking, the other end of the phone said, I know, I just saw you a while ago. Don't make any more phone calls, I'll contact you when I receive your sister. The voice was still cold, but clearly with a hint of urgency. The last sentence Lin Xiajin heard on the phone was this. When did Xiao Ruo meet his sister? You said you saw your sister before, how could that be? Does Xiao Ruo mean 3 years ago? Is this not long ago? Although both of them are in B City, how could they possibly meet, one school located in the east and the other in the west? Lin Xiajin still wants to call and ask clearly, but reality doesn't allow it. The phone's battery is not enough to charge now. It's really frustrating. I hope Xiao Nuo can successfully pick up his younger sister. He only has one relative left now, my younger sister. If something happens to Lin Xiajin, how will he explain it to his parents? Lin Xiajin and Xianli have been staying in the classroom for a long time. The night is coming soon, and the activity of zombies will accelerate. Lin Xiajin and Xianli closed all the windows, closed the curtains, and only left a gap. End of this chapter.